in the math session. Typically we do these life lessons, and we do it essentially because I feel there are three ways of learning, kids. All right. The three ways typically to learn are: one is we see and we learn. All right. The other is we hear and we learn. And the third is we experience something and we learn. To give you an example, uh, if I were to tell you, kids, do not touch an open switch with wet hands. All right. So I'm telling you, you're hearing me. Do not touch an open switch with wet hands because you can get a shock. So some of you may learn, okay, I've been told I should not touch a switch with open hands. So fine. Some of you may still think, what will happen here? But then, maybe you see a friend of yours who touches an open switch and gets a little shock. So that's the second way to learn. You actually see and you learn. And the third way to learn is when kids say, Nahi re baba, what will happen? Let me give it a try. And you actually try touching an open switch. And when you do that, that's when you get a shock. So that is called learning by experience. Okay. So the best way to learn is by experience, of course, but it's also the toughest way if the experience is on you, because you suffer some amount of pain or some amount of difficulty if you have to experience something. So that's the reason we learn by stories, because we are learning from somebody else's experience. All right. That's the reason we learn from stories, because we're learning the best way, which is experience, but not our experience, someone else's experience. So if there is a pain or a tragedy or a problem, someone else experienced it, or if there was something good, that person experienced it, and we learn from that. Okay. Now, kids, this is going to be an interactive session, so we're going to have a lot of chatting. Purnendu has raised up his hands. We will definitely be doing a lot of interaction, but we will do it in three parts. All right. So initially, I'm going to be doing some speaking. Then I'm going to ask for your feedback. And in the end, we're going to be open to question and answer. And this is going to be the format over the next 3 days. Okay. So the topic that we're going to be doing in this series, all 3 days, is the power of positive thinking and being optimistic. Okay. So let's take the first part. Now, you all will have to type in quickly in your chat boxes. What do you all think is the meaning of positive thinking? What do you all think is positive thinking? Come on, let's hear. And it can be message open to all so that everyone can read what each one has to say. Let me just try and understand, what do you all think about positive thinking? What is positive thinking according to you all? Doing something nice. Purnendu says, okay. What else is positive thinking? Having good thoughts, correct thoughts, okay. Thinking something good, okay. That's what Adi says. Radhe says, positive thinking means finding, 1 minute, I missed that. Good in every solution. That's a nice one. That's positive thinking, okay. Pushpa again says, thinking something nice, okay. Devesh says, good thinking, okay. Punar says, positive thinking means thinking positively and not getting negative thoughts in your mind, okay, perfect. Krisha, positive thinking is thinking positive and good thoughts. Yes, yes, yes. Thinking positive is Arav. Vedic says thinking wisely. Okay. Madhurya says practice on focusing on the good in every situation. Very nice. Good. Teja says accepting problems and finding solutions. Okay. Vrinda says good thoughts. Purnendu says doing something nice. Okay, so pretty much all of you are there on the right track as to what positive thinking means. We all know exactly what positive thinking means. But tell me something. How many of y'all, when y'all have said this, when y'all are down, how many of y'all actually land up talking to yourself positively? Be honest, huh? How many of y'all, knowing what positive thinking is, how many of y'all try to do it? How many of y'all don't get boggled down by the situation? So if it's the current lockdown, a lot of y'all may not be allowed to play, go down, online school. So have you all been giving yourself that positive boost? Okay. Radhe is nodding his head. Yes. Okay. Come on. Let's hear some of your thoughts. How many of you all have been doing that? Vilap says yes. Tejas says yes. Very good. Purnendu says most of the time. Very nice. Which is honest and answer. Okay. Hunar says it depends on the situation. Okay. Sometimes. Dhavani says. Radhe says sometimes. Okay. Vedic also says sometimes. Okay. Good. Okay. So it's nice that at least you'll do that sometimes. So today what we're going to do is we're going to see typically, all these stories that I'm going to be telling you on are stories that have been typically been there for a long time. So either I've heard them from my grandmother, or I've read them in some of the Vedic scriptures, or I've read them in some interesting book. So I'm basically going to be sharing, the ones that I really feel have impacted me, have helped me. Because they have helped me, I'm sure it will help you. That's the reason we want to share as many stories as possible. All right. So let's start. I went on to the next story. Uh-oh. Okay, so the first story. So is the story of this donkey, this farmer, who was there in one of the villages, and he was typically a poor farmer, had just about one cattle and a donkey, and he used to manage his farming activities with that. So one day, they were going through a bad season, very little rain, all the water had dried up. So his well that was there in the farm, that had also dried up, and unfortunately, his old little donkey landed up falling into that well. So he wasn't aware, but suddenly he heard that braying, and that's when that caught his attention. Is that why is my old donkey braying so much today? So he went about looking for his donkey here, there, everywhere, but he really just couldn't find the donkey. And then he heard this kind of an echo. Do you know, in a well, typically, it's a closed thing, so you have that echo effect. So he heard that kind of an echo effect, and he was in dismay. He says, "Oh my God, don't tell me he's fallen in the well." And he ran up to the well, and he was really saddened to see that, oh my God, his donkey is down there. Now it's a donkey, all right, and he's a poor thin farmer. So he's like, how do I get him out? So he called the villagers, and so a couple of them who were nearby. Villages, typically the houses are a little spread out, Indian villages I'm talking about. So they were a little spread out, and we had a couple of uh, people come over, and they threw in a rope, and they tried their best to get this donkey out. But an hour or two passed, but they just couldn't manage to get that donkey up. When that donkey wasn't coming up, the donkey was also in pain, and so was the farmer. So now they were thinking, what do we do? Then the farmer thought, it's been so many hours, we're all trying so hard. So rather than the donkey suffering, and dying in pain, let us just bury him. So all of them, they decided, okay, let us bury him. And then they all started throwing in a lot of sand or soil, whatever was there around them. So they started throwing that on the donkey. So the donkey obviously panicked. Now, like us, they also understand animals. Their consciousness is a little lower, but they understand when they are in problem. They understand when death is approaching, and they also feel the pain. That's why we say that typically, we should not be eating animals or any form of animal flesh, because they feel the pain as much as we do. So this donkey also panicked, and he was just shrugging off the sand, and then again more sand was thrown on him. Again he shrugged it off, and then more sand was thrown on him. Again he shrugged it off. So What he was trying to do is he was trying to save his life. And what the farmer and his friends were trying to do is give him a peaceful death. Now, the donkey was determined. All right. So, what happened is that every time the soil was thrown on his back, he would shrug it off. And when the soil would settle down, it would give him a step to climb up. So this process continued when the soil kept going on the donkey. He kept shrugging it off and taking a step up and up and up and up. So in the process, with that determination and with that positive thinking that that donkey had, that I am not going to die like this, slow and steadily, that donkey actually landed, reaching up. All right. So he managed to save his own life when everyone else had just given up on him. So that was the positive thinking of an animal, and he landed up saving his own life. All right. So this is what typically happens with positive thinking. Okay. Now I have this message on the group that y'all are not able to chat with all. Okay. I don't know why this is happening. Mataji, if you can just check the settings, is there a way that the kids can chat with all direct messages are only possible?
I'll just
check
change it to everyone. Yeah, that's
yeah. So kids, this is an example of how this animal with positive thinking managed to save his life. Okay, now we move on to another story, which is of a starfish. Now, you know, many a times in the ocean, you have these currents which throw out huge number of fishes on the shore. All right. So that happens because of various scientific reasons. So one such day, this was the west coast of US, where thousands of starfishes were lying like this on the shore. And obviously a fish without water it's inevitable it's going to die. Of course, starfish survive for some amount of time. There are a couple of fishes who manage to survive for some amount of time outside water, but then sooner or later they give in. So one such day, something like this had happened, and there were thousands of fishes on this seashore. And we had this little girl who must have been about 10 years old or so, who was walking by on the seashore, and she was just picking up fishes and throwing it with all her effort. You know, a 10-year-old trying her best, just picking up fishes and throwing them inside the ocean again. So her effort was, they can be saved. And there was this elderly gentleman who was also walking on the seashore, and he came up to this girl, and he was looking at her a little perplexed and surprised, you know, like, ye kya kar rahi hai? What is she doing, matlab? And he told this little girl, hello, there are thousands of fishes. What are you going to be able to do? That was his thing. And this girl, you know, she looked up with a little surprise, a little anger, and a lot of determination in her eyes. And she said, yes, I know there are thousands of them, and I cannot save all, but I can save. She picked up this one, and then she picked up another, this one, and she threw all, you know, in the ocean. And she kept picking up, and she said, I saved this one. And then she picked up another, and this one, and this one, and this one. And she went on and on. And that old man was actually ashamed, you know, that A, he had not contributed in you know, the effort that she was putting in, and B, he was trying to discourage her. So he actually felt apologetic, and then he also landed up helping in putting more and more fishes back into the ocean. And looking at this, whatever few people who were there on the at the ocean, you know, the seashore that day, all of them, you know, joined in, and they started picking up all these fishes and putting them back into the ocean. So basically, the positive thinking of this one girl landed up saving, if not, you know, 100,000 fishes, but at least a few thousand fishes. So that is what positive thinking can do. Whatever is possible to the best of your abilities is what should be done in a particular situation, right? We get on to one more story, and then we'll have some question answers. So this is the story of a farmer again, and again a poor farmer. And typically, farmers, today you see they have tractors, to plow their fields. But this poor farmer was there. He didn't have an ox also. He just had this one horse, and who he used, to plow his field. Unfortunately, uh, the horse, because he was an old horse, he died. And this farmer was in dismay, but he was like, fine, okay, it's happened. So all the villagers, when they came to him and they said, "Oh my God, what has happened to you? You're what are you going to do now? How will you survive? How will you support your family?" And this farmer was very calm, though he was in trouble, but he was still very calm. And all he said is, "We'll see whatever happens." You know. So the villagers, they all got together, and he was a very nice person. So they all got together and they said, "We should help him. Let's all contribute and buy him a horse." So they all contributed and they bought him a horse and they gave him as a gift. And so seeing that, again, the farmer was very thankful. And he said, "See, you're so lucky." Some of the villagers started saying that, "Look, your friends have contributed and they've given you a horse." So he said, "Yes, I'm thankful to them, but we'll see. It's fine." He was not elated, but he was fine. So they were all surprised that he's got such a big gift and he's still normal. So, but then the next day, this horse suddenly disappeared. So again, his neighbor farmer who came and he said, "Oh my God, you're so unlucky. You got a gift, and that gift, that the horse has disappeared." So he said, "It's okay. It was destiny. Not a problem. We'll see what happens." So the next day, again, by chance, that horse who had gone away found his way back and he came home. And again, everyone said, "Oh, you're so lucky your horse came back. Otherwise, you would have died. You would have starved because how do you plow your field and all?" And this farmer again was very normal, very calm. Said, "Okay, I'm great. I'm happy. I'll get on to my business rather than being overjoyed and all." So this way, life continued. And after a few days, his young boy who was riding the horse, uh, he had a fall from a horse, and he broke his bones. Now again, his neighbor, "Oh God, you're so unlucky that your only boy, and he's also fallen off the horse and he's injured himself." And this farmer again being very cool, "Okay, no problem, we'll see, it's fine." So he remained calm and stable. So after a few days, now did I tell you in the beginning this was set up in China? So in China, there's a rule that everyone is supposed to undergo military training. All kids at a particular age are supposed to undergo 1 year of military training. So we had the military people come for new recruits to his village, and they were recruiting all young children. So now this boy was injured. So obviously, an injured boy cannot be taken. So when all the other children of that age were taken, his neighbor's children were taken by the military. Again, that neighbor came and he said, "Oh, you're so lucky. Your boy is here. My child is taken." So again, this farmer was like, "It's okay. It doesn't matter." So essentially, this farmer, throughout this situation, whether it was good, whether it was bad, whether it was a happy situation or whether it was a sad situation, he was stable. So basically, he did not overreact to anything. Now, when you don't overreact, that is also positive thinking, because in our everyday lives, kids, we come up with such situations where it could be sometimes a situation we may think is a problem, but actually lands up to be a blessing in disguise. So everything that happens is happening due to the force of nature. All right. And the situations that are governing us are also based on laws of nature and also our karmas, right? So we should not overreact. We should not be over elated, and we should not be over sad, over depressed. Because when we are stable, that's when we think normal and we are balanced. And that's one of the ways we can be positive in our thinking by not overreacting or being overly sad. Okay. Yes. So we have a couple of hands raised up. Mataji, have you been able to manage where we can get in the direct responses on the group? And we have someone type in, जो होता है अच्छे के लिए होता है. Absolutely right. Very well said. Very, very well said. So is there a way they can, if
Yeah,
not,
we just,
okay,
yeah,
just,
we can unmute. Lekha Mataji, what?
them, yeah. And one by one, we can take. So, kids, you all are going to be unmuted, and I'll request all of you all just to take one turn. Okay, so if someone is answering, just wait for your turn. So we have Purnendu, Adi. We'll go in this order. We'll start with Purnendu,
Yes,
then go
Prabhuji.
on to Adi, and whoever has raised their hands. And then
Prabhuji.
Krishna Balram next, and Vedic next. Okay, and yeah, tell me. Who's this? First your name, please. Purnendu?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me, what's your question, dear? Or what do you want to say?
Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to tell something about the first story.
Yeah.
It was like you told us that the experience, right? I have experienced that shock.
Oh, you've experienced that shock. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Example
very
and-
bad.
Yeah. So,
I was bleeding.
and how was it? Terrible, wasn't it?
Terrible, very, very
Yeah.
terrible.
So if you had learned that from someone else's experience, you could have been saved of that, right?
Yeah.
That is the reason we're hearing all these stories. So whatever we pick up from these stories, we keep it in our database. This little database that we have over here, if we have it over there, so whenever we are put in such a or a similar situation in life, we will get that out of our database and we will apply it, hopefully to avoid a horrible situation. Oh,
Right.
okay,
Exactly.
okay, now next,
Yeah.
who else has raised the hand? We'll go in that order. Adi, next. Yeah, please, Adi, go ahead. Okay, otherwise, Sriram, if Adi doesn't have something to say, I'll, Sriram?
I have Prabhuji.
Yes, please go ahead with your question or comment.
My comment is that I also it is not like unlucky or lucky. It is because that the thought that we think like that. That is, if we think something that is bad, then if we are thinking it as a bad thing, then it will be like a bad thing. But if we
Yes.
take the opportunity in that, then it will be a good thing for us.
Beautiful. So what you're trying to say is that the situation is good or bad based on your thinking. You may look at the good even in a bad situation, right? That's what you're trying to say?
Yes, Prabhu.
Bingo. Absolutely right. So take the example of the current lockdown. You know, we are all supposedly in a bad situation, but then there is so much good that is happening. So on an individual level, we all have had so much of access to online information and lectures. On the nature level, there's so much of cleaning up of the system that has happened. You know, only humans are indoor. Everyone else is outdoor. So the peacocks, who were there in the governor's bungalow in Mumbai, actually could walk on the roads of Nepean Sea Road and Warden Road. Those of you who are familiar with South Bombay, so the animals and so many newer birds that you see. Like I, for that matter, near my house, land up seeing at least 4 to 5 interesting species every day, which includes a myna, which includes a cuckoo, which I would not normally see, even a sparrow for that matter. So yes, that's well said, Adi. Now let's have Pradyumna. You've raised your hand, and then Krisha.
Teacher, why? I want to say that that he was thinking. First, he was thinking. Luckily, no, that neighbor was saying that you are lucky, you are unlucky. Then when the military soldier took that boys and they fight, that time they had been died. So he said that you are lucky.
So basically what happens now, someone else who sees you may think you're lucky or unlucky. but you should typically not go by their thinking. You should use your own analysis of that situation. And more importantly, sometimes you may get something where even you feel that you're lucky. Oh my God, I've got this. Or if you don't get something, or if it's, for example, it could be a situation where you're not on the top. Maybe it could be a tragedy, it could be a unwell, it could be a fracture, or anything of that sort. But typically, these are situations which will come and go in your life. You have to be balanced. That means keep one line in your mind. This too shall pass. So whether it's a good situation, please remember this too shall pass. And if it's a bad, so-called bad situation, always remember this too shall pass. So nothing is permanent. And if nothing is permanent, we don't need to be very happy for something, or we don't need to be very sad for something. Okay? Yes, Hunar. Now we'll take your question next. And those who have got their question answered, please put your hands down so we can take maximum comments or questions accordingly. Yes, Hunar. Please go ahead.
I just wanted to say something. So, that whatever in life we, do, like from the start of our birth till the end, actually, this is all a dream. Where the king might have sat on the chariot, and where maybe a horse was in the farm. Once it dies, it all realizes it's a dream. So we shall not have any material possessions, because then we like get over proudy and then we overreact.
Absolutely right. Very well said. So basically what Hunar is trying to say is that we come empty-handed, we go empty-handed. All right. So even some possessions that we have, material possessions, are temporary. And thereby, if we don't get over attached to them, it's nice because sooner or later they are going to go away. Very well said, Hunar. Very deep and very well said. So yes, that's the reason you shouldn't be over attached. And if you're not over attached, you will not be over happy, and you will not be over sad. You will be balanced. Yeah, you will be balanced. Okay. So let's have Krisha next. Krisha? Okay,
Yes,
otherwise,
Prabhuji. I was saying that like I just wanted to say like I have read this somewhere that if you are never mad, sad, or angry, you would never know when you were happy. So like I think the moral of this story could be that whatever situation it is, we should just stay calm, and it's better to not overreact.
absolutely right. Absolutely right. Absolutely right, Krisha. Yes, correct. Tejas, you're next. Please go ahead.
You can hear me?
I can hear you, Tejas. Please go ahead.
Yes. Whatever is happening in our lives, it is because of Krishna's will and God's will.
Yes.
So we can't change anything. So we should accept it as in a good way, in a positive way. So that's why we should not keep on saying that we have problems and problems. We should see the solutions for the problems.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So the solution that we have, I would like to add to that. Very well said, Tejas. The only solution that we have in our hand is the choice that we do. The only solution is what do we choose to do? Whether you choose to let the situation overpower you, or whether you decide to overpower the situation by taking the right action, thinking the right things. All right? Because only if you think right, will you do right. Okay? Yes, Radhe, we'll take your question next.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
If we are sad, if we have a fight with a friend, or we are sad, then how to get rid of the sadness?
Okay. So typically, the sadness is because you've had a fight. Okay. Now, you yourself are saying that you fought with a friend. All right. So the best thing is go back to the friend and give high five again and say, why did we fight over this petty issue? Whatever that issue must be, surely would be petty. Right. So tell that friend it's so petty. Our friendship is for a lifetime. right? That's the reason we should move over petty things and focus on friendship. Friendship is something, uh, which is a prized possession. True good friends are true diamonds. That's your real possession and that's your real asset. So we should not typically try to say or do anything which hurts your friend. And in case there is some misunderstanding, clear it out as soon as possible. Okay, don't let it linger on and on and on and on. Okay, that's what I feel. Okay, Vasudev, yes. Hunar, if your question is answered, you can put your hand down. We go by Vasudev now.
Yes. So when the girl was throwing starfish in the sea,
Yes.
then old man came, and why the old man become angry?
So typically he didn't become angry. He was perplexed. It's like, ये क्या कर रही है? It's like that kind of a reaction. इतने सारे इधर मरे पड़े हैं, literally, like they are semi-dead. So what will she try? So what he thought in his mind is the task is very big to achieve, and this little girl will not be able to achieve the task. So that was his reaction. But the little girl said, I may not be able to achieve the whole task, but I will do my best. That means I will do to the best of my ability. That is what is important. That we, as an individual, whatever ability we have, we do our best to that ability. All right. You may not be able to solve all the problems, but whatever you can do is your contribution. That's what that girl did. And looking at that girl, many other people joined in. So individually, she would have saved a handful of starfishes, but collectively, looking at her when the other people also joined in, they landed up saving thousands of starfishes. And then obviously she was written about in the newspapers. That is all because of a positive thinking, that she wanted to save a few fishes because of her thinking, which was the rub-off effect happened on others, and then they landed up saving so many more. So wasn't that good? So the man wasn't angry, he was perplexed because he couldn't do that, but he was perplexed at this young girl, 10-year-old, trying to do something like that. तो उसको लगा यार ये क्या कर रही है? But he didn't know that she has that positive thinking and that determination. Yeah. Okay. So Hunar or no, Dimple. Hunar got a chance. So Dimple, yes. What do you have to say? And then Anaga. Dimple, Anaga.
Yes, Prabhuji. Not even mute. Prabhuji, I wanted to say that from the lucky or unlucky story, that we shall not also overreact or become disturbed, because when we get disturbed, the other people they will be feeling mad for us, because even though the farmer was poor and he just lost an horse, the people would think that he could just ask us. And the second way was like he could also ask anyone else near him. But if he gets mad, so nothing will continue and he can't do anything. So it was better that he would be calm, and as he did.
Yes. So it was better that he accepted. Yes. So the next story that I'm going to tell you all is again a story which will bring out an interesting point. So as kids, there would be this situation that many a times you all go and complain to your parents for whatever reason. Yeah. So there was wherever to the next story, again we'll have some interaction later on. So there was this little girl who had this knack of complaining at times, and so one day she went on to her mother and she said, Mom, everything is going wrong. I didn't qualify for the sports program. I failed miserably in my maths paper. I landed up fighting with a friend of mine, and my cupboard it has white ants. So all my new dresses are spoiled. So that way she was just kind of complaining, and she was like, what did I do, Mom, to deserve this? So her mom at that time happened to be baking a cake, So she said, "You want to have a cake?" So of course, mom. I mean, I'm in such a situation. Uh, I'm more than happy. So her mom said, "Okay, here's the flour. Eat the flour." And she's looking at her mom. What is she saying? I want a cake. What is this flour? She says, "Okay, here, have all the eggs." And again, she's looking up to her mom, and it's like, "Why is my mom giving me only the eggs?" It's like, "Mom, I'm as it is messed up. Why are you messing me more? By giving me just the cake, just the eggs and just flour." And then her mom just smiled and she said, "You know, the flour individually has no taste. All right. Similarly, the eggs individually are not to be eaten. It's everything is made in a particular order, and then it is baked. And when it is baked, that's when you enjoy the cake." She said, "Yeah, so what?" She said, "I repeat, everything is meant to be in order, and only then do you get the cake." And again, she looked at her mom and she said, "Yeah, but what are you trying to say?" Then her mom tried to explain to her that, "Look, all the situations that you're talking about are ingredients of your life. All right. These are situations which will come into your life. They'll churn you nicely, like how you churn the cake, how you have to just, if someone has seen how the cake is made, you're supposed to just beat the batter and whatever is there, mixture. And that's when then it's put in the oven and it gets puffed up." So her mother explained to her that just like the cake, in our lives, we have all these situations which are like the ingredients, which come into our life, and they are made perfectly in order. Means everything has to be in the right proportion. So the pain, the pleasure, the trouble, the frustration, the anger, all of this is like ingredients. And this comes into our lives in perfect order by the Creator. God gives all of that to us so that each of us are ultimately baked into a perfectly delicious cake. And then the girl smiled and she said, "Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense." So, whatever troubles, whatever things come in, are ingredients of our life. Like we were just discussing that everyday situations in the farmer's story. Similarly, here the mother very clearly explained to her daughter how all these situations will come into your life. You have to still be balanced and at the same time take it, because these are the ingredients for your life. Only when all this is there. Suppose you're only happy all the time, you will not know what sadness or what trouble is. Suppose you always get what it is to eat your favorite food, you will not know what other kind of food is. Suppose your stomach is always full, you will not know what hunger is. So we have to experience all of this, and that's the reason the ultimate baker, which is the Almighty, the Lord, puts everything in such a way that we come out to be a perfectly baked cake, right? So I'll get on to one more story and then we'll have some discussion. So this is again about a very interesting creature, which is the eagle. You know, like you'll all know eagles fly very high, right? So when they fly high, and you all have experienced storm in some form or the other, you all have seen, wild winds, torrent storm. Yeah, I see a lot of thumbs ups coming. Yes, so eagle typically is one creature who comes to know long before that the storm is going to come. It comes to know that, okay, there is a storm approaching. So typically what the eagle does when the storm is coming, normally what would you think? What would the other creatures do? Other creatures would typically go hiding. Arey, bacha lo bhaiya. The storm is going to come. Let me save myself. Eagle doesn't do that. So eagle goes and perches itself high up at such a spot that when the final winds are blowing, it uses that same speed of the wind to rise above the storm. So you all have learned, I hope, you'll have, that 8 to 14 age group, you'll have learned, the various layers in the atmosphere, troposphere, stratosphere, you'll have learned those layers, right? So the eagle perches itself at such a layer that when the winds blow, it uses the wind to perfectly fly to a higher level. So it's using the same storm to rise above the storm. So similarly, why I'm giving this example is because we kids, we human beings can also set our mind, and we can. Storm is what? What is a storm? Storm is basic difficulties or troubles that come in our life. We can also decide to use the storm to rise above the storm. So whatever difficulties we have, we can use one thing that we have to rise above it. So if the storm is there, like the winds of a storm, we can use the belief in God, belief in that higher power to rise above the various difficulties that come across, which could be in the form of any tragedy, any disappointment, any failure. All right. So we have to use the wind, that is the faith and the power of God and His holy names, and complete faith in the Lord. When we have complete faith in the Lord, that is when we can actually rise above the storm of our life. In the form, as I said, it could be any trouble, any disappointment, any kind of failure that you experience. Use the power of the Lord, power of remembering Him, power of connecting with Him, power of chanting His holy names, uh, and rise above your individual storm. So I would like to know, have any of y'all personally, till date, y'all are very young, I know, but have you all come across any such situation where you feel that you're in a problem and you've possibly used this solution, that is of connection with the Lord, of firm faith, of belief in the Lord, to rise above? And many a times it's the Lord within who gives you the right answers also how to get out of a situation. Anyone would want to share any such experiences if you all have had? And I would like some of the kids who haven't had a chance to speak earlier, raising their hands, so we can have more kids interacting. Yeah. So Sony, you've raised your hand. You haven't spoken earlier. I would like you to unmute. 1 minute, I'm unmuting you, and we would like you to share anything that you experienced like this earlier. Mataji, if you can just have all kids.
No, I did that. Sony, you can unmute.
So, Sony, you've raised your hand. If we can have you share your experience. And after that, we can have Rakshita Pandey. Okay, Sony's not answering. So, Rakshita, would you want to share something there? Or would you want to say something?
Yes, yes. So I have experienced that there's my friend, one friend that, and I have broken a toy of her toy.
You broke her toy. Okay, then?
Then she said, I'll be not your friend. And she was not talking to me at least 1 year. And then,
okay.
Yes, and then when I realized that I have done such a bad thing.
Right.
Before also I had tried, but she did not understand. But at the time that I think, let's try the last time. So there was the birthday. On the birthday, there was a birthday of my friend,
right.
And so I gave her a gift. So from that day, I wish to God that, please God, we friends again. So
basically, you wish your heart to Lord.
And suddenly, till the next day, she used to talk with me every day and play with me.
How sweet. So you were over and out with all that 1 year of hardship, and you all were finally friends again.
Yes.
Beautiful. Very nice. So, yeah, very nice. And so sometimes God answers prayers very soon. Nah? He answered yours in one day.
Yes.
Okay, lovely. Lovely. Now, who else would want to answer? Who else had raised their hand? Please go ahead. One by one. Hunar, you've answered earlier. So, Krishna, 1 minute. Huh? Krishna Balram. Okay. You've raised your hand. Can we have you answer or say something, please?
Prabhuji, you have muted me.
Sir, why in real life when storm come can real life can eagles fly up?
Oh, my dear friend, this is actually what the eagle does. This is not a story that I've made up. Eagles actually use the storm, the winds of the storm, to fly above the storm. So they are not affected by the storm like other animals, all right, or birds, because they have that ability. They use the winds of the storm to actually rise above the storm. So if the storm is at this level, yeah, as I told you, there are various levels in the atmosphere. So if the storm is at this level, they use the storm winds to fly at this level. They can really fly high. You know that, right? Eagles fly really high. So they are above the storm. It's a fact. You can Google and check it. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, you haven't spoken. Neha next. So Mukund, Neha, and then Shubhangi. Yes, Mukund, please.
Prabhuji, you again unmuted me. I am Adi.
Sorry, I can't hear you clearly. Can you be a little closer?
Prabhuji, you unmuted again. It is Adi.
Adi, okay, yes. Please, Adi, go ahead.
Prabhuji, well, once I was in the flood and I was in very miser and tried to do some. I got a cough and fever for that time.
Right.
I thought for some time, and when I thought about it, then I got some medicines from somewhere, and I got it okay.
So when you were unwell, you were continuously being positive in your mind. That's what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. So that's what it is. Unwell, well, all of that is going to come and go. Right. So, but you have to be positive. Like even this current situation, where everywhere you have a lot of negative news, everyone is talking about corona, corona, corona. Don't bother. Focus and stay positive. Don't let negativity affect you. Of course, be cautious, but don't be negative. Lovely. Mukund, can we have you say something? Then Neha. Mukund, Neha, you all have raised your hand, and you all haven't spoken. Okay, Shubhangi. Mukund, Neha, or Shubhangi, you all have raised your hand, so I'm giving you all a chance. Can you all please unmute and say something if you have to?
Sir,
Yeah, who's this?
Mukund,
Yes, Mukund, please go ahead. Tell me.
when I was playing with my friend, I was playing with my friend and I throw the ball and
Right.
he hits that. It cannot hit that. He said, I am cutty with you.
Okay.
And then I pray to God and I think positive. I again try.
Okay.
I say, sorry friend, I can do this. I can take again chance. He said, yes. I throw the ball very slow. It can hit it.
Sweet. Okay. So very nice. So y'all became friends again with that. Very nice. Okay. Great. That was a nice experience you shared. Okay, we give Shubhangi and then Krisha Vagela. Y'all have raised your hands, so please unmute and share your experience or any other comments or anything else you'll want to say about either today's session or generally. Shubhangi, Krisha Wagela, anything you'll have to say?
This is Shubhangi.
Yes,
I
Shubha.
would just like to share one experience when like Krishna helped me.
Please.
So actually I was like going to my school. Actually, I wanted to buy a book from like the school.
Right.
So I had the money with me, but I lost it. Like at that time, I didn't know, but I lost it. And then I like was very worried, and I didn't even tell to my parents. Like I was like really very worried. Like, and then I sat on a bed, like any like some play on a bed. A
Mhm.
pillow was behind me, and I sat to pray Krishna, like Krishna, please help me. Um, and then I don't remember, but somehow I just turned the pillow above. I just picked means uh, I just lifted the pillow and I found the money.
Oh, okay. So basically you had kept it somewhere and you had forgotten, and then Krishna helped you find the money.
Yes.
See, power of surrender. You know, when you truly pray to God with your heart and soul, some way or the other, you will get your help. Sooner or later, you will get your help. I mean, there are n number of such experiences that I have experienced in my life too, and so many other people have also experienced. So, uh, as we said, you know, we should just make sure that we have our belief truly in place that the one up there, who is basically the the creator, will make sure if we have belief in him, he will definitely come to our help. Okay. I think one last comment or anyone wants to share something, and then we wrap up for today. Tomorrow's session, we will look at some more stories, and we will talk about optimism and pessimism tomorrow. All right. And day after tomorrow, we will take real life stories of people who have had that positive thinking and how they have succeeded in life. Okay, real life examples from world over. We will take that day after tomorrow. Tomorrow's session will be on more stories on today's topic, and also about optimism and pessimism. So one or two last quick comments, or anyone wants to say anything? Sita Pragna, anything you want to say? You've raised your hand. Fioni Nishar, you've raised your hand. Anything you want to say?
So
Yes.
last year, in 2019, when
I hear you clearly.
Ganesh Chaturthi, right?
I hear you. I'm sorry. Last year.
2019.
Yeah.
Ganesh Chaturthi. So me and my friend and my small sister sitting in the hall, and the settlement of God was there beside us. And when mother came, she saw that the jug of milk was empty, and we were just playing. And she just asked who drank it, but we said no. And she know I don't drink only milk. Then she asked my friend, then she also said. Then she asked my little sister, she also said no.
Okay.
So God drank all the milk from the jug.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. Anyone else? Or we end for today. I think we're already time up. One last one. Maybe anyone wants to say, add something, say something. Anaga Patil. Anything you want to say? You've raised your hand here. Okay. Fioni, you want to say something? Please. And Brinda wants to say something. So go ahead, please.
Sir, I want to say something.
Yeah, be a little loud there.
So I know my friend
how much time she can take to me Katti, but I know she can take when I give her gift. She can take me again, Batti.
So why don't you start talking to her? What is the reason that you're not able to speak to your friend?
So, but that from when is Corona has come, I cannot go down.
Oh, okay. So I can only hope and pray for you that as soon as things get fine, you should be able to. Yes, I can hope for that. Okay, Fiona is saying that she cannot unmute herself.
Yes, sir, I cannot. I can. Sir, actually, I wanted to can you just tell that eagle story in a short form? Actually, my audio just went and I couldn't hear you.
Okay, so basically eagles, they fly very high, and when a storm is approaching, they can see the storm coming. So normal animals would hide when there's a storm, but the eagle, instead of hiding, uses the winds of the storm to actually fly above the storm. So they stay perched at a particular place. When the winds hit them, they use the same winds to rise above the storm. So when the entire mess is happening below, they are absolutely calm and fine upstairs because they have used the same winds to rise above the storm. All right. So we'll end for today. I hope you all like the session and something at least you all took back today to use in your lives. You all can leave back a message quickly in the chat box. Anything that you all want to say or anything else you want to hear, we'll try and incorporate that. Tomorrow we meet same time for the session, talking more about positive thinking and also discussing optimism and pessimism. All right, we'll take a couple of stories, and then day after we will be taking real life examples of people from world over and how they have exceeded in lives and been successful rising with this positive thinking and optimism. All right. So see you all tomorrow, same time. Take care.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. It was an amazing session today. And I hope and pray that our children can all fly high like the eagle, up roaring in the sky. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Mother, if we can just set that up where the message can go, the message can go to all, because all the kids are replying directly now to me, but we'll just set that up tomorrow.
Sure, Prabhuji, sure. Thank you.
Take care,
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Take care.
Bye. Hare Krishna.